being a first round guy, but so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's what I
fair.
was saying. That's what I was saying. His production wasn't very good for his size and his athleticism.
Yeah.
You'd expect him to do more, but nothing against him. But I don't see the Raiders going in that direction anyway.
Mm. My guy is Duke Ejiofor. I don't know if you've watched him, but I am a fan.
Yeah,
So
I love that guy.
Duke
I love that guy,
Ejiofor
man.
from Wake Forest, 6'4", 264, 35-inch arm, which is very, very good, elite. Miles Garrett had the same length of arms. He did not do anything in the combine. He had an injury. He had an operation right after the season, so he will miss pro day as well. He missed his pro day because of that. But so we just have to rely on the tape, and his production is 2.18, which is really good, which is elite level, which we saw on tape. On tape, he really impressed. So his strength, I have, sets the edge well, uses hands well, good lateral quickness, can shoot a gap quickly, dominates one-on-one matchups, also played 3 technique and played well, and shot gaps quickly to disrupt the run and the pass, has very strong hands and uses to swat tackles away, does everything well and can immediately produce. Weakness, not many negatives, though he hasn't displayed bend in a speed rush. Mostly fakes the outside rush, then cuts inside. If he learns to bend, he can it can be a game wrecker. A summary, an underrated player who does everything well. Can step in day one and be a rotational edge defender with Mack and Irvin. Would be a steal if he falls to round 3. I actually have him a late first round grade, which is a lot higher than other people have it, but tape doesn't lie, man. And his production doesn't lie. I have him a late first.
Maybe early second.
Yeah, it could be early second, but if I'm picking end of first, if I'm New England and all these other edge rushers are gone, and I'm looking for edge rusher, if Bradley Chubb is gone and Harold Landry's gone, I might take him. He's a guy. So
yeah, well, as you said, tape doesn't lie. So
yeah. So that's my grade. Late round. So I think if the Raiders don't take edge rusher round 1 and Harold Landry's gone, I wouldn't be mad if we take Duke Ejiofor. So that's what I have on him. What do you got next?
Dorrance Armstrong of Kansas.
Perfect.
So his height is 6'4", absolutely perfect. But then his weight is a concern. He's 246, which isn't really where we would want a defensive end to play. To have that sort of weight, we need him to be a bit bigger.
Is that his combine weight?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the only concern. That obviously...
He came in at 257 for what I'm looking at.
Yeah, it's when I looked it up, it said 246.
Oh, okay. Huh.
But I mean, like, who knows?
For Wikipedia, it's 246. Actually, combine he came in at 257. He gained some weight from the combine.
Yeah. So
anyway, go ahead.
But his strengths are he's got long arms, and he's got a well-defined build. He's got loose hips and has a good agility. His movements when he's rushing can be both smooth and explosive. He's got considerable acceleration off the mark. Good change of direction. That's what you're looking for. He's got good rushing experience. And when I watched his tape, his level of his effort in the game was consistent. From minute 1 to minute 60, it was on a consistent basis, which is what you look for in players, isn't it? But can they be consistent over a whole game? And he tended to be, fairly very consistent in what I watched. His weaknesses, I think due to him not being as big. I think he might not have the frame to play as a 4-3 defensive end. He might actually be better off playing as a linebacker. His balance when he's into contact is average. He hasn't got that play strength you're looking for. When he's making plays, he's using his athletic ability over his technique, so he can be a bit erratic at times, and he needs to use his hands better. And I have a grade on him. I think he will go round 3.
Okay.
Possibly 4, but I think round 3.
Late 3 then?
I would say mid to late 3, yeah.
Awesome. It's funny you mentioned that he would be better as outside linebacker, because this year his production index was a .96, and he played a 43 defensive end. But last year when he played a 34 outside linebacker, his production was 2.5. So it's a huge difference. So I guess maybe he is built to be a 3-4 outside linebacker. And he had really good combine numbers as well. His power was 168, which is not too much below the 170 baseline. 3-cone was 7.12, which is great. And his last year's production was 2.5. So I think maybe a 3-4 team might fall in love with him and take him early.
Yeah, I think so. I think that he hasn't got the play strength to be a defensive end. Yeah. But I think that he's got the traits, and as you just pointed out, the statistics back it up. He's got the traits to be an outside linebacker, and for any team looking for a 3-4 guy, he would probably slot in absolutely perfectly.
And one of the reasons that we didn't study Ogbonnia Okoronkwo and Arden Key is because they're strictly 3-4 outside linebackers, just too small. Arden Key came in at 238 pounds, which is even pretty small for a 34 outside linebacker. So even though Arden Key and Ogbonnia Okoronkwo had some amazing... Ogbonnia Okoronkwo is 6'2", 253, but his power was 191. I mean, his broad jump was 126, same as what's his face, Von Miller, 38-inch vertical. Bench press was 27, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And a 3-cone was 6.84. So if we played a 34, he would make perfect sense.
He would be an animal in a 3-4.
I don't know if you could scheme around him and still draft him, but it's just not a fit. You know what I mean? For a 43 team.
Yeah, I love. I call him Ogbo because it's easier. Okay. But I think that he's a very, very good football player. I personally would still take him, depending on what round it was.
Yeah.
Purely on the basis of talent. But I don't see him, as you said, as a fit necessarily for what we want in our system.
If he drops, that might be something we can look at.
Yeah, I mean, if he drops like the 3rd round or 4th round, I mean, you can't not take guys like that.
Yeah. Who else? Yeah, I don't think I have any. I did Sam Hubbard as well. I think we got duplicated. You have anyone else?
Yeah, I've got a couple of guys here.
I've got Kyle Fisk, Justin Lawler.
Yeah, I'll start with Justin Lawler.
Okay.
He's 6'4", 262 pounds. So he's in and around the barometers of what we're looking for. His strengths are his character. You know, he never gives up on a play. He's a gym enthusiast, so he's always keeping in shape, which is important. You know, because some of these guys let themselves go, but he doesn't. He looks after himself. He's got very good upper body power to shift. He's got initial quickness, you know, off that first step. And he finishes well in the pocket. So when he's in the pocket with a quarterback, he closes. But his weaknesses are his length on the edge. his stiffness when he's at the point of attack. He looks very stiff. He's a marginal athlete in terms of, the stuff like the free-cone drill and stuff will say numbers, but when you're watching his tape, he's not very bendy or, explosive. He hasn't got that change of direction that you're looking for in a defensive end. And his hands are more aggressive than skilled.
Okay.
I don't see him as an ideal fit for a 4-3. I think he's another one that could actually play linebacker, in a 3-4. And my projection for him would probably be round 6 or 7.
Who is this guy again?
Probably Justin Lawler. I'd probably say round 7.
Okay.
Some have him not even being drafted, but I think he will. I think he'll be drafted in 7.
Yeah, it's not a big school, but he did produce though, so you can't, I guess, just ignore the production.
Yeah, that's the thing though. These guys will watch the tape, watch production, and obviously come up with a summary. But based on what I see and what I looked at, I would say that he is around 6, 7 or undrafted sort of type player. He's going to go later rounds.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to go in rounds 1 to 5, in my opinion. I think he's a later on sort of pick.
Gotcha.
But I don't see him being an ideal fit for what Gunther's scheme is anyway.
All right, last one.
Yeah, and Kyle Fitz. He played for Utah. Hang on a minute. So his tangibles are he's 6'4", so he meets that criteria. 263 meets that criteria. He's got efficient handwork to clear blockers' hands. So when blockers are trying to block him, he uses his hands very well to manipulate situations. He's got good upfield explosion. In his first 2 steps as a rusher, he's very good off the mark. He's got a very good ankle flexion. It allows him to bend quick around corners. Good change of direction, so he can maneuver very, very well. He's very long-limbed, and his tackling radius is maybe a little bit more than others because of his long arms. He's got good pursuit, speed, and range. So his speed and range are very good. And also something that stood out to me on his tape was he was able to spot a play and drop in coverage. So when he spotted a play, he dropped into coverage, which is very rare. You see that from a defensive end. They're usually on the edge or, stopping the run. But he actually spotted a ball going in coverage and dropped in. His weaknesses are he's not very durable. He struggles with power versus power. So when he's playing against more powerful tackles or guards, he struggles a little bit. He lacks strength in his lower body. So he hasn't got that lower body strength, from speed to power. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, he's more likely as well to be seen as a strong side outside linebacker than a defensive end. Okay. Purely for that basis. But I actually see him going in round 5.
Alrighty. Yeah, he did show power though in the combine, and some guys show it.
Yeah, they show it in different ways.
Yeah,
but I'm going off of his tape.
Yeah, tape is obviously a lot more important.
Yeah, when you're looking at the bench press, a lot of these guys probably go to the gym anyway. Right. So you can't really gauge anything from that. I actually would scrap the bench press personally. I don't even feel there's a need for the bench press. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Because these guys work out in the gym anyway, so some of them are going to be able to lift whatever. That doesn't tell anything to me. Just because you can lift a weight, that doesn't say anything to me.
Yeah, as I say, if you're a football player or not.
Should move in a different direction. No, exactly. So